Hi and welcome to this week's Friday with me, Billy McLaughlin. We are almost there, folks. It's almost the end of 2025, so keep going for that final push. This segment is where I talk about the big bad world of artificial intelligence and what it means for our industry as accountants, bookkeepers and finance professionals. This week, Apple announced their App Awards and no surprise, but AI apps really did dominate the top spots. Now, this was in areas such as creative tools, productivity and wellness apps, and a lot of them were kind of labelled as AI enhanced. However, the shift has been so big that apps without artificial intelligence barely appeared in the top places. Just showing that your clients and your team are expecting AI in everything they do. So this is not just user interfacing anymore. They want to make sure that the back end is as efficient as possible. Just something to bear in mind if you have got clients with certain expectations. Cloudflare have also hit the press once again, and this time with something a little bit positive, probably trying to make sure that people kind of forget the outages they've had. Now, they've hit the headlines for announcing some figures which are quite shocking, and it's all around artificial intelligence scrapers. So these are essentially artificial intelligence models that go onto a website and scrape the data. They claim to have stopped 416 billion scrapes from May to October. So just in those months, 416 billion scrapes. Now might be a great time to have conversations with your clients about information that they're putting on the internet and maybe acting as a registered office for them. Google have been on everybody's lips recently for some really great reasons with their new model releases. However, one user has come out and said that AI has wiped their hard drive back to 2019. Oh my gosh, imagine. I mean, I'd love to go back to 2019. I'd 1,000,000% invest in Zoom and I'd probably be on a beach somewhere right now. But if it's your data, it's not so clever. Google have tried some restoration. Apparently it's not going so well. But the reason I want to bring this to your attention is for two reasons. First of all, although the headlines say that AI is responsible, it technically is because it was an AI automated sync, but it was met with this glitch, which is what made it happen. So it's not quite AI's gone rogue, everybody panic. And I think sometimes the press can scaremonger us into that. The second thing, do not rely on one source of backup. Make sure you have your information in as many backed up places as possible, from obviously your computer to cloud areas, and making sure that those things are done very, very regularly, and make sure you test them as well. Because if this does happen and you've got backup, it's not as bad. AWS next. So last week I spoke about their massive event that they had done, the reInvent event. And what is it called the reInvent event? Or maybe invent is in the word so they don't need to say it twice. reInvent. They really did double down on agents. So I said last week if there was anything special that came out of it, I would report on that. And agents is something that they really, really seem to be going all in on. And this is because they think agents are going to be able to do a lot of the end-to-end processes that businesses do. This is because their agents are now able to do multi-step workflows, which is really, really exciting. I also think this proves that it's not a hype anymore. It is inevitable. Two things here. First of all, end of 2023. So John Toon and I do a roundup with Tom Herbert each year around technology and what's happened. And I'm pretty sure it was the back end of 23 when John and I mentioned that agents were absolutely going to be here. They're going to change the way accountants work. I do believe this is still a thing. We were just maybe a little bit ahead of our time. However, just this afternoon in the AI Practice Academy, I will be trialing and showing and demoing Opus 4.5, which does have those agent capabilities. I was doing this the other day and I am so impressed with what they can do. And I do think if you are going to join the webinar and if you do have things that you are doing on repeat, do have a think about whether an agent could help and reach out to me. I would love to show you Opus. Something that I do want to add here is though that we are probably going to come across some teething problems with agents, which is absolutely fine, but be prepared for it. I'm concerned that people are going to run into this and say, oh, well, it didn't do this, it didn't do that. A little bit like when AI first came in, use it for what it can do and then build on it. So it's going to be a little bit like a trainee. It's going to be very fast, it's going to be very enthusiastic. I would say though that the errors, you know, they aren't humans. If AI thinks a fridge is a shoe rack because it looks slightly similar, it will put a shoe in the fridge. I have no idea where that saying just came from. But my point is, show them what a shoe rack looks like first so they don't put a shoe in the fridge. My God, I need more sleep. A quick update from Claude, who are now putting Claude code into Slack. So if you are a Slack user, please be aware of this. I'm becoming even more of a Claude fan than I was before with their recent model updates. But with this, what this means is that it will be reading and understanding the information in your Slack groups. So it's going to be great for automation. It's going to be great for summaries and pulling that data. However, make sure nobody's throwing in a client's payroll information into those Slack groups, because that is going to be this element of AI in the back end that you may not be aware of. And some news on OpenAI with their adverts. I don't know if you've seen this, but if you have been on there recently, it is giving you suggested promotions. Now they've said that these are not adverts, these are just to enhance the experience. You can make your own mind up on that one. But I think for me, it's raised concerns about transparency. And the reason I wanted to bring this to your attention is because if you are using these models, just be aware that that bias that we were seeing in responses is going to continue into these suggestions. Now, since people have had a little bit of an uproar on it, OpenAI have softened the launch of these campaigns, basically done a U-turn. But what we do know is that ads are coming in early 2026 for free users. So if you do use the free version, please don't. But if you do, don't worry. It just means that you will be getting some adverts, and I really want you to be aware of it. So what we know so far is that they'll be here early next year for free users. The ads are going to appear within the chat, so it's not going to be like a pop-up, which might mean they're easily disguised. And they're only going to monetize this when the answer is correct. So it's not just going to throw you incorrect things just to promote products yet. We'll see how that goes. And huge news from Iris, who are on board with AI, and they've just released this week their tax anomaly detection tool. So this is to identify any problems before your return goes to HMRC. So this tool is going to scan returns for unusual entries, inconsistent patterns, and values that deviate from the expected norms is how they are wording it, which is exactly what we need to be seeing AI used for, especially when it comes to the busy period, to prevent humans having to review data and things probably more likely being missed when a human does it. Now, something I really want to talk about here is the incredible figures that have been published. So Iris have around 13,000 users on the Iris Elements and Iris Accounting Suite, and they've said across those users who are going to be using this tool, they expect that they're going to be able to reduce the time it takes to do a return or file a return from 4 hours to 30 minutes, and claim that this is going to give back those practices 6 million hours a year. So if you are a user of Iris Elements or Iris Accounting Suite, I would be interested to know if you've trialed this yet. I know the beta came out last month, and I know they've got some more things coming in the next 12 months, but I'd be really interested to know if you've used it and if it's picked up anything for you. So just to make you aware, over the next 12 months, as I say, there are going to be 2 more phases of this release. So phase 2 will add intelligent validation, and this will be against HMRC rules and also document extraction from things like P60s. The third phase, which will be coming later on next year, will enable a full automation, which will allow for post-submission monitoring and then also some AI client reporting. Great idea, love to see it, especially with things like client reporting, because let's face it, we didn't get into the industry to be doing the admin behind the finances. So if we can use AI to help us with that, amazing. So bravo, Iris. Really looking forward to seeing how this pans out. And that is everything from me on this week's FridAI, but not everything from me today, because this afternoon I do have my webinar on the AI Practice Academy. Do drop me a message if you would like to join in. It's completely free. And the idea is that I'm going to show you some use cases of Opus 4.5 and also just going into a bit of a deep dive on some of the news that we've seen recently on the accounting apps. It'd be really great to see you over there. Next week will be my final FridAI of the year before having a nice Christmas break. So I'll see you all next week, and I hope you have a fantastic weekend.